Mahalo and welcome to O&J Gaming Channel. You're with me, Joe, and you're also with me, Ollie, in the background. And today, we're going to be doing a 2020 Gravekeeper deck. I'm saying 2020 just because it's the year 2020, not because the deck includes any cards from the year 2020, because we haven't been able to go outside, but we have got an interesting profile for you. Including some new cards from the last time we did a Gravekeeper's deck profile. Gravekeepers is a favoured deck of the OJ Gaming Channel community. My brother, back in 2008, took a Gravekeepers deck to a regional tournament, actually. So we have good experience in terms of using this deck, though...
It's changed.
What's changed? It's changed since then. Yes, I mean, now it has fusions, which would have been weird back in the day when it was more of a stun deck. But shall we get straight into it? Yes, we have Oracle. It says you can tribute 3 monsters or 1 Gravekeepers. I personally recommend that you pick the 1 Gravekeepers option, though it does gain some different effects, and, depending on your situation, it can be good. Let me get to the mouse. One of my favourite cards is SHAMAN. That's only because it's in the Zushin deck. Go and look at that. Type in Zushin first turn kill into your search engine after you've watched this, and watch the video on the Book of Taiyo channel and give it a like and subscribe, even though the channel's not producing many videos at this point in time. Yeah, if you have this on the field, your Plague Spreader Zombie doesn't work. Who knew? Very niche, that. Chief isn't one of my favourites, mostly because I didn't like his role in Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, so I'm going to skip over him. Gravekeeper's Ambusher, its effect kind of works when it's flipped, so again, like with a lot of the deck profiles we've seen on the channel recently, this is designed both for a longer duel and a duel that's designed around kind of fun and player interaction, as opposed to floodgates and 1-turn kills after about 20 minutes. Because for us, playing the game is about fun and not necessarily about winning. Right, that preach over. I mean, Heretic is actually genuinely an annoying card, unaffected by card effects from NECROVALLEY. So if you haven't got the spell and trap removal and you've got this out, maybe game 1, it's pretty good. Commandment is obviously a searcher for NECROVALLEY. Descendant is some removal if you've got excess Gravekeepers. Now, Spiritualist is one of the key cards in this deck because it unlocks the fusions in the extra deck. There's 1 Gravekeeper's fusion that we're using, but we've also got another kind of Spellcaster fusion, which you may or may not be able to guess. I mean, you could see it if you've got particularly good eyesight. And yeah, getting that out is probably one of your main ways to win. Guard did feature in those original decks from the regionals, along with Spy. Guard basically bounces one of your opponent's cards, and Spy searches one from the deck when it's flipped. The modern version of Spy is Recruiter, and yeah, lets you add the cards to your hand this time rather than straight to the field. Nobleman effectively does the same thing as Spy, I'd say, but it doesn't have as much defense. And the Cleric is interesting because it allows you to summon a monster from the graveyard that's unaffected by NECROVALLEY, which is obviously pretty cool, because NECROVALLEY is something you want on the field. Steel does similar to that, but gets into the hand. NECROVALLEY Throne, one of the best cards in the deck. It lets you add a Gravekeeper's monster. It's your main spell searcher. I'd actually recommend playing 3 of these. Hidden Temples is a, you want to see this and NECROVALLEY to lock down those special summons. So if you haven't got the resources for Spiritualist, get NECROVALLEY, play this, and if your opponent hasn't got the spell trap removal or they haven't got the hand traps to stop you do it, you're actually in a really strong position with the deck. And that's the nice thing about Gravekeepers, is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Can move on and can evolve into a completely different game, but actually this deck can always be annoying, and the reason it can always be annoying is because of NECROVALLEY and its ability to just negate any card that targets the graveyard. There will always be archetypes that need the graveyard, and stopping them, you could stop really strong meta decks. You can put them out of business just with this, and preventing your opponent from banishing too. That's superb. We've got MST, we've got Super Poly, because we're running a lot of spellcasters, and we can do cool things with that. We've got a copy of Wonder Balloons, which I must admit, I'm not sure quite fits the theme. However, your monsters do have quite low attack, so actually getting your opponent's monsters down can sometimes help you run them over. That is a problem with the deck. And we can see another example of that in NECROVALLEY Temple, which reduces the opponent's monster's attack, but the main thing for this deck is to get that NECROVALLEY out of your deck. Because with the limit to terraforming, which we aren't running here, and things limit to metaverse, and the banning of Ancient Fairy Dragon, it's much harder to get out NECROVALLEY, which is the deck's key card. Obviously, we have Gravekeeper's Commandment in there too, and with its current ratios, we actually think you'll see NECROVALLEY quite a lot. Imperial Tombs is your counter trap. You always, your ideal hand has the NECROVALLEY, has some of your stronger monsters, and has some Imperial Tombs to prevent some plays your opponent's doing. We've got Mirror Force. I think we should name this channel. Actually, next time we go into a renaming thing, we might just call ourselves kind of like Exploding Mirror Force, or something like that, because we like it here on this channel. Rivalry of Warlords is a pretty cool one. I like it both in terms of the deck's function. It limits your opponent's ability to play if they're using a multiple type archetype. I don't know, something like Dangers or things like that. And I think back in ancient Egypt there were certainly lots of warlordering, and I quite like it in that respect, even though the people on the image appear to be more samurai-ish. Go and watch that video if it's been uploaded before this one. Gravekeeper's guitar player, as I always think it is. I always think he's just like brown musician king style. He's playing the guitar. This is made up of 2 Gravekeeper's monsters, so it's actually really easily summoned when you use Spiritualist, and it can't be destroyed by card effects when NECROVALLEY's on the field. So again, your objective is to get NECROVALLEY and then kind of lock your opponent down. Play things like this that can't be destroyed by card effects. And then you're pretty much good to go, and this has a really nice ability to add Gravekeepers or NECROVALLEYs from your deck to your hand. So you really want to get NECROVALLEY on the field and then have this card out as long as you can, preferably 2, and then build up that advantage. Yeah. So I was mentioning earlier about the big boss of Spiritualist. That's Quintet Magician. It does take 5 spellcasters, so obviously maybe a bit of time after you've used Supernaturalist to bring Gravekeepers from your deck to your hand. You use this effect of Spiritualist again to use those Gravekeepers because it works. Spiritualist brings them to your hand. Esper brings them to your hand. Spiritualist Confusion summon from the hand, and you can use 5 to bring forth Quintet Magician, destroy all cards your opponent controls, and this is basically invulnerable in terms of can't be tributed, so they're not going to use Lava Golem on it or Winged Dragon of Ra Sphere mode, and it can't be destroyed by card effects, so really it can only be bounced back to your hand or flip face down or something like that. It would be better if it wasn't targeted, but as it is as a boss, it's pretty good. And the last 2 are Predaplants, so they're really in here to work with Super Poly. Obviously all your cards are dark, so you're able to bring these out pretty easily. Obviously if you can get Triviavertum out, then by using maybe one of yours and two of your opponents. I think that's that would be the optimal play you'd want with that. We've got another Super Poly in the side deck if you know your opponent's playing a dark deck to be able to do that. Really, most of the side is kind of just a homage to other Gravekeepers. So we've got Spear Soldier, we've got Assailant, which we loved back in the day and is now just a bit too slow. But yeah, it can go up to 2000 attack, obviously, with NECROVALLEY. The Pillager. Who played the Pillager? Was it no, it was Bakura? I can't remember. Anyway, that's what this card reminds me of. It reminds me of the card The Pillager. Gravekeeper's Servant. It's a non-Gravekeeper's card in reality, and it's a mill card. It doesn't fit the theme, and that's because it's not really with the theme, but we like having it there just for nostalgia. SPACEGATE isn't a card I expected to see here. Ollie, tell me your thoughts about SPACEGATE in a deck themed around ancient Egyptian cards. Do you mean?
No answer, but I put it in there for a reason.
I mean, I tell you what, if we were doing, and I might put this on the channel, if we were doing 2001 A Space Odyssey, where we go from the monkeys at the beginning of the film to space exploration, I tell you what, we should definitely do that. Okay, that's going to be on the channel soon, along with Alan Partridge deck. That is what I'm going to work on. Anyway, SPACEGATE would be one of the cards I'd include. Excellent. That's what I'm going to spend the next hour of my life doing. And you know what? Gravekeeper's Stele is the next one. Oh my goodness, you've already done it. It's a 200 IQ maneuver where we've actually included the two key cards for 2001 A Space Odyssey Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck next to each other in the side deck. Incredible. I almost wish I saw that beforehand. NECROVALLEY Temple, great card, include it in. Another copy of Super Poly, another copy of Wonder Balloons, depending on the game state. You might want either. I don't know why I've kept it on Wonder Balloons, because the one I really recommend is, yes, come over here, yes, this one. So, that's your deck. I'm off to watch 2001 A Space Odyssey, and spend about 20 minutes watching monkeys fight, and watching Hal. I wonder what Hal could be. Comment below if you know what Hal would be as a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Daisy, Daisy, give me your... We can wrap it up now, Ollie. You can cut here in the edit.